What's going on today, guys? So just a few days ago, you guys may or may not know, I reviewed the film Deadpool in its spoiler-free edition, and you guys know that I really enjoyed the film. I had a great time with it, despite a couple of flaws, but I didn't really go as in-depth with those flaws or what I liked in my spoiler-free review because that would obviously account to spoilers. So this is my spoiler review for Deadpool. And as you guys may or may not have noticed, along with the video title, this review is going to contain some spoilers. You've been warned. So please go and see Deadpool. Please go and see it because it is worth your time, and come back to check out this review. And in the meantime, if you haven't seen the film, check out my spoiler-free review for it. So as you guys know, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was very good. It was an origin story, something we've seen before, but I feel like the way it was done was a little bit unconventional. And I enjoyed being able to let loose, like this film did, and be able to talk in depth about what I thought about the movie. And I want to first talk about Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. As I said in my spoiler-free review, I've never been the biggest fan of this man. I really don't like his films. I really don't. None of his movies that I've seen him in my mind, were really all that great. This movie was really made for him. I feel like Ryan Reynolds was born to play this role. And I absolutely loved him in this movie. He was fantastic. And I think that Ryan Reynolds was actually the best part of the movie. And I always loved the fact that he broke the fourth wall. And even though he did it consistently, he didn't do it to the point where you're like, oh, just stop. You're so goddamn annoying. They did it at just the perfect rate and at just the perfect times. And what was interesting was whenever he broke the fourth wall, he would sometimes mention the budget. There were a lot of jokes about the budget of this film being very low, and because of that they couldn't hire more X-Men, and I thought that was really funny. And I love the scene where he enters the Negasonic Teenage Warhead, I now got the name, and he's like, well, there's only 2 of you guys here? Well, I guess there should have been more X-Men characters, but, you know, our budget's so low. Just those things when you watch the movie, you're like, wow, that's actually really clever the way that they just loop that in there, because it turns out that Fox actually took $7 million of their funding away. Now, I know I didn't really talk in depth about TJ Miller because that was obviously my spoiler-free review, but now that we're here, let's talk about this man. I like TJ Miller. His voice is so different. Like, I never heard a voice quite like his when he speaks, which is really nice, but the jokes that he pulls off are great. I remember when I first saw him, well, not really saw him live action, but animated in How to Train Your Dragon, which I love. But he's been funny ever since, except for that Transformers Age of Extinction bullshit where he kind of made a pedophilia joke, which really wasn't funny. That was just weird. This movie completely relaunched his hilariousness. He was really funny in this film. Genuine laughs all around. I feel like he improvised some of the scenes, which is why they were so funny. But there's one scene in particular that I laughed really hard at, and a lot of people were wondering why. I guess maybe they didn't catch the joke. There's a scene in the film, I'm pretty sure it's like maybe 25 to 30 minutes in, I can't really tell, but I'm pretty sure it was that far into the movie, where TJ Miller is talking to Ryan Reynolds, or Wade Wilson in this instance, and there's this guy sitting at the table that's going to give Wade the information. So TJ Miller looks at him and he says, hey, why don't you go see that guy? And he says it might advance the plot. Because at that point, it's sort of the point in the movie where the plot could have just left the film and it would have become a little bit boring because it would have felt repetitive. Since we're seeing the current relationship between him and Vanessa, which I'll talk about in a second. But I thought that line was great because that was like the perfect point to just say, okay, we're going to present the plot. This is going to be the origin story. Let's go. And I thought that was perfect. And it was hilarious because he's like, it might advance the plot. I was laughing so hard in the theater that people were actually looking at me like, why are you laughing so hard? I guess they really didn't catch the joke. Also, something else, among many things that I didn't mention in my spoiler-free review, because I didn't want to ruin it for you guys, was the music choice used in this film. This movie has a terrific choice of music. I think there's maybe 6 or 7 songs that were used in the movie. I think one of them was from the 60s, and a ton of them were from the 80s. And those songs were great. I feel like it tried to do what a lot of other films have been doing recently, is to bring back a lot of classical music cues and put them at the right moments. And I think this movie got every single musical cue right. And let me just say that the opening credits of this film is one of the best opening credits I've ever seen. It's been years since I've seen an opening credits or a closing credits scene that actually made me feel really awesome and invested in what was going on. But I don't think I've ever seen an opening credits scene that was done in that specific way, because it was talking about written by like a douchebag or something and then directed by a Tool or something like that, and it was so funny. I would go and rewatch that movie just for the opening credits scene alone because of how funny it was and because It literally sets you up for the kind of movie you're about to see. The comedy in this movie could have failed. It really could have been terrible. This movie could have fallen flat, unlike another movie with Ryan Reynolds that was absolute shit. But fortunately for this film, it's very funny. I laughed so many times during this movie. Was it as funny as some people were hyping me up to make it feel? No. But I was laughing many times throughout this movie. There were so many film references to 80s and 90s films, including the closing credits with the Ferris Bueller's Day Off reference. That was spectacular. I remember going into the theater and the guy saying to me, make sure to stay through the credits. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, it's a Marvel movie. So I stayed through the credits. And then Deadpool all of a sudden comes out just like Ferris Bueller. And that second, I'm like, that's Ferris Bueller. It comes out and it's like, you're still here? It's over. Go home. It was terrific. I loved it so much. And then right after that, Deadpool says, oh, you guys were waiting for a little teaser? Well, we don't have that kind of money. Once again, that was perfect. It was spectacular because they keep making fun of their budget because this movie was only shot for like, I'm pretty sure it was $56 million. That's a pretty low budget for a Marvel film. I thought Colossus was terrific in this movie. He was absolutely hilarious. And at the same time, I loved his Russian accent. It really made it awesome. And the scene where Deadpool tries to punch him and he ends up breaking both his arms and his leg. The whole theater was laughing so hard because it was really that damn funny. But I really think that the funniest scene with Colossus is actually towards the end of the film. And once again, I'm going to be talking spoilers with this moment. So Deadpool has the gun at the villain's head. And Colossus is trying to tell Deadpool, he's like, Deadpool, this is why you should join the X-Men. You don't need to kill this man. Join us and fight crime and something like that. And the Deadpool all of a sudden pulls the trigger. But what was funny was that there was ominous music that was kind of rising in an instance. And I'm like, yeah, he's going to shoot him. He's going to kill him because he's Deadpool. He's an anti-hero. And as soon as Deadpool pulled the trigger, Colossus just keels over and just vomits. And oh my god. Not only did I know that was going to happen, but when it did happen, it was actually really funny. It's, once again, entire audience was laughing. And finally, let's discuss about Morena Baccarin and her character Vanessa and the relationship with her and Wade Wilson. I said in my spoiler-free review that I thought it was terrific, and I'm still keeping the same thing. But man, those scenes were not only very enjoyable for someone like me. I mean, come on, we gotta admit that scene was really enjoyable to watch. Nonetheless, though, I thought that the relationship between the two of them felt real. There was true chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Morena Baccarin. And I could tell that these two had a blast filming. And I saw interviews with Baccarin who said that she had a great time working with Ryan Reynolds. And that really adds to great chemistry when you can work together and when you can laugh together, when you can cry together. But let's discuss Morena Baccarin specifically. Now, I've seen this young actress in the show Gotham just recently. Now, I haven't seen Homeland, I haven't seen the show V, but I know that she was in those previous shows. However, Gotham was that first show that I started to see her in, and I thought, this is a good actress. I'd like to see more. So now we finally get her first feature, like big budget feature film. And in my opinion, guys, I am in love with this actress. She was absolutely spectacular in this movie. I can't praise her enough. And not only that, but she is insanely beautiful. There's no doubt that this actress is gonna go places. And reading up on this young actress's biography, she says that she wants to one day become a Bond girl. And having seen this movie, I can positively say, go with it. And that opening scene with her in the bar, I love that scene so much. It's one of my favorite scenes of this year, and I think many people can tell why. Now let's discuss about those flaws very briefly. I don't want to make this video like 25 minutes long. I feel like the issues that I have with the movie is that the third act just felt predictable. It felt like, oh, I've been here before, I've seen this before, this is basically every other Marvel film. And what I loved about the first two acts is that even though it was an origin story, something that we've definitely seen before, I felt, in my mind, that it told it in a very unconventional way, creating a ton of flashbacks throughout the film. And I know many of you are going to say, what about Batman Begins? That's DC. To me, it just felt very unconventional and it felt very different. I enjoyed the style. And plus, with that R rating attached to it, you could do a lot of things. And they were very loose with that R rating, showing a ton of graphic sex scenes that were actually very entertaining to watch. But at the same time, a very interesting origin story that wasn't just so boring. To me, I enjoyed the fact that Deadpool was trying to be a spoof of a lot of other Marvel films, talking about the budget, making fun of Marvel, making fun of X-Men Origins bullshit Wolverine. However, the third act to me felt like it just became the type of movies that it was trying to spoof. It felt like it was the same movie. Other than that, guys, that's really the biggest issue I have with this movie. Do I think it is an excellent film? No. In my opinion, I didn't come out thinking it was a truly excellent film, but I thought it was a very good movie that is definitely worth your time if you've already seen the film. I love the opening credits. I love the humor. I love the dialogue. Morena Baccarin was freaking awesome in this film, as well as Ryan Reynolds, who absolutely owns this role of Deadpool. I think Ryan Reynolds definitely needs to continue playing this character, and hopefully there can be an X-Men Deadpool crossover film. I felt like this could be the type of film that really can spawn a franchise. Just don't get too familiar, because we've seen how franchises generally work. I want it to feel a little bit different, and I liked the first two acts of the film because they felt different, and the third act felt kind of similar. But guys, I really enjoyed Deadpool. I thought it was a very, very fun movie, and I had a ton of fun. So these are my spoiler thoughts on the film, and some now important breaking news for you guys, because I want to keep you guys informed of what's coming up in the near future. I just completed my new analysis review for the newest James Bond film, Spectre, and I had a shit ton of things to say. So that review is coming up very, very soon. Hope you guys enjoy that. And I'm also going to upload my Mad Max Fury Road Analyzed review. I'm pretty sure right before I upload my Spectre one. So in a way, it'll kind of be two back-to-back analysis reviews where I go very in-depth with films. I am also working on two other analysis reviews. One of them is going to be for Whiplash, which I promised you guys. And the last one is going to be for The Gift. And also, guys, I just got my newest shelf for my next complete Blu-ray collection video coming up next week. So excited for that, because I know that is my most requested video ever by you guys, and I'm very excited to bring that for you. I am totally thrilled by doing another one, because I'm hoping this can grow my channel, and I'm also thinking about putting it in my background. Regardless, guys, thank you so much for watching my spoiler review for Deadpool, and I hope that you guys are excited for my upcoming videos, and the Oscars are only 10 days away. Very excited. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned.